This is a Dude Studios production. And hey, I'm the dude.
Hey bartender, pass me a drink. A reason that I'm here is I need time to think all the ways of the world.
Welcome back to Hey Bartender Podcast. I am your bartender for the evening. This is a Wednesday quick shot episode that I wasn't even planning on doing. But first, as usual, I gotta do the shot special for this episode. This shot special comes from tipsychickens.com. It is called Bad Santa's Milk and Cookies. Put this drink under the tree and Santa will be leaving you something good this year. This is a Christmas shot, and it's the perfect mix of rum chata and vanilla schnapps. Fun word. Anyway, what you're going to need is 1 part rum chata, 1 part vanilla schnapps, ice, and ground cinnamon. The instructions go like this. Combine the rum chata and vanilla schnapps over ice and shake. Strain into a shot glass, and then sprinkle a little cinnamon on it. It's a nice festive looking shot, and yeah, I heard in a song years ago, leave Santa cookies and beer, he'll be at your house first next year. Anyway, so on with the shot. Plans changed this Christmas for me, and I was originally going to take this week off, just really sit back, relax, really, let my mind go for a little while, and think about what I want to do for the next year and the podcast, and just relax and be kind of stupid. Most likely end up watching a lot of TV. But as I was out and about this afternoon, not looking for sympathy or anything like that, but I'm just going to tell you guys, because of the COVID virus, I had a long talk with my family. I live in Texas right now, but the rest of my family lives in Oregon and Washington. We always get together every year, and we had a long talk about traveling this year, because I'm the one that has to travel the farthest. And because my sister lives in Washington, and she doesn't have to go as far. But yeah, I think that her travel time's about the same, though. Except she doesn't have to stop in Dallas. Anyway, to the point. My family and I, we sat back and we had a long discussion. My father and my mother advanced in age, a lot older than me, obviously, and they haven't been feeling well this year. They've had normal illnesses that people my age or younger would probably brush off, but at their advanced age, it's a little bit rougher on them. And in the unlikely event, possibly, that I were to catch COVID, during my travels, if it hit them, it would be much worse than it would ever hit me. So to keep my parents safe, my sister and I, and my parents, all decided, okay, we need to quarantine from each other. This isn't my first Christmas by myself, but it gets kind of rough. But with today's technology, like I've told you before, you've got FaceTime on your iPhones, you got Zoom, you can contact your family and be with your family. It's not that hard. But so I'm spending Christmas in Texas this year, and I was going to take a break from Hey Bartender Podcast just through the holidays, no big deal. I am realizing that not releasing an episode might hurt my goal. As of this second that I'm recording this podcast, I need about 326 more downloads to reach my goal by January 1st of 10,000 downloads. And everybody this year who's gotten me to 9674, I greatly appreciate you. It's been keeping me going. And I love doing this. This is a lot of fun. I've gotten to meet some really cool people. Got to tell you about some stories that just hang out in my head all the time. It's nice to get some of this stuff off your chest. But Like I said, I wasn't planning on doing an episode tonight until just an hour ago. An hour before I came running back in my house and plopped myself in front of my computer. Well, let's back this up a little bit. I was expecting a package today. Tell you guys the truth, I ordered myself the new iPhone 12, the Pro version, because, hey, I'm a pro. I deserve the Pro. Actually, I'm not a pro. I'm a geek. Anyway, at least that's what Erica told me back in second grade. I'm a geek, and I've pretty much stuck with it. So I really wanted the new iPhone, and so I ordered it, and originally I was supposed to receive it back on the 7th, but they said due to high demand, I wasn't going to receive it until the 30th, but I managed to get it right before Christmas. Cool beans, right? So I'm at my day job, and all of a sudden I get a notification from my doorbell out in front of my house that somebody's at the door. So I answer it remotely from my phone, and I say, "Hey, how you doing?" And they said, "I got a package for you." And I said, "I'm not home right now." In my head, I'm going, who the fuck is home at 10 o'clock in Texas? Well, I mean, there's people that work night jobs and stuff like that. But for things like that, who's home? And he said, "Well, I need you to sign for this package." And I said, "Is there any way that you could leave it at the doorstep?" And well, is your neighbor home? And I said, "I don't think so. Do you see a Chevrolet sitting out front next door?" And he goes, "No, I don't." And I said, "Well, crap, she's not home." And he says, "Look, I can't drop this thing off unless you sign for it." So he offered either to drop it off for me tomorrow, Christmas Eve, which I thought, wow, they're going to be delivering on Christmas Eve, or I could go to the shipping center in the next town over. And so I said, "All right, I'll figure something out. Thank you." And so he left with the package. And sitting at home, I've been home from work for about an hour, and I'm sitting there thinking, watching a little bit of TV, and I decide, you know what? I want my package. I want it right now, damn it. And so I called FedEx, and they said that the package would be available at the shipping center on the other side of town between 6 and 7:30. So I get there, and this is where the point of this episode comes in. I walk in, I'm chanting myself, "I'm getting a new iPhone. I don't know why I want it, but I got it. It's going to be new technology." And, I'm singing my iPhone song. But there's a guy standing at the counter already, and he's sitting there fiddling with his phone. And then he puts the phone up to his ear, and he asks whoever's on the other side of the line, he says, "Do you have your ID on you?" And whoever's on the other side of the line says, most likely told him no. And he says, "You don't have any ID at all." And he says, "All right, fine." And so he looks over at the people behind the desk at the FedEx place and says, can I just please buy a shipping label?" And they said, "No, we cannot make you allow you to ship anything unless you provide us with photo ID." And he said, "All right, fine." Picks up the box of what looks like a box for tennis shoes, and then walks out the door and says, "Thanks for fucking nothing." And I turned and looked at him as he walked out the door. He didn't see me, otherwise he probably would have threatened to kick my ass. And then I turned and looked at the FedEx people standing behind the desk, and I said, "Geez, Merry Christmas." And they all started laughing. So after I gave the guy the number to the package that I was getting, I muttered to myself, well, not really to myself. It was loud enough for all the employees to hear. I said, "Who walks around without their ID?" And they started laughing and go, "Really?" And then all of a sudden, all these moments as a bartender started flooding right into my head. And it's just like, oh, I didn't bring my ID with me. Now, what the fuck? Now, anybody out there, every bartender will tell you, You want to go anywhere, you want to do anything, absolutely anything in this world, you need an ID with you. And whether you're using your credit card or you're writing a check, well, nobody writes checks anymore, or getting a package or trying to walk into a bar where nobody knows you, that you need your ID with you. Come on, bartenders, agree with me here. I mean, usually bartenders, we sit back and figure that if they don't have their ID on them, they tell us they don't have their ID on them, they're probably underage and just trying to get a drink. And it happens all the time. That's at least what we're forced to believe, because if our local liquor control commission comes in and starts pulling IDs off of everybody, and they happen to all of a sudden have theirs, and it shows that they're 19, 20, or they sit there and say, I don't have my ID. And then the liquor control commission can put a large fine down on the bar and possibly put you out of work. And so you got to stick to your guns on that sort of thing. Check your IDs, people. And because the customers, a lot of the customers, especially the kids, they sit back and try to pull a fast one on you one way or another, and think, well, I'll just tell them I don't have my ID, and then they'll let me have a drink, because obviously I look older than I actually am. But we can't go by that, because there's a lot of people out there that do look older than they are, and we still have to ID them because we don't know them. Of course, there are also people out there that look younger, or look older, look younger than they are, and have been ID'd until they were in their mid 40s. I mean, holy shit! I'm 44 and I still get ID'd for cigarettes. I mean, a lot of you bartenders out there probably agree with me on this whole situation. These kids trying to pull a fast one on you and say, oh, I don't have my ID. And that should make it all right for them to be inside your bar. No, don't take that shit. I remember a long time ago, the place that I worked, it didn't say bar in the title of the restaurant. And so these three people come in. Two of the people come up to the bar and order 3 drinks. And I order, can we get 3 Coors Lights? And I said, sure. Can I see your IDs? And hers too. And the third girl had already gone out to the dance floor and started dancing. And they turned around and told him, he wants to see your ID. And she goes, well, I don't have it. And I said, well, you need it. You need it to be in my bar. Go get it or what? And she says, but this isn't a bar. And I said, we serve alcohol here. This is a bar. And she goes, but it doesn't say it in the name of the restaurant. Like that fucking matters. I serve alcohol in my bar. There's a sign out front that says no minors, and no minors on that side of the restaurant. And so she was she was a Karen in training, probably year 2000. And I said, look, if you don't want to show me your ID, you got to get out of here. So she stated a few things that she, made her try to sound like that she knew everything. You have to have the word bar in your name in order to be called a bar. I said, I got no minors. You know what? I'm tired of arguing with you. Please, all 3 of you out. And it was just one of those things where she's, she thought she had all the answers, but she forgot I'm the one in control. You think I'm going to put my job on the line just because you forgot your ID at home? God, no. I don't get paid enough for that bullshit. What the insurance companies will probably come up with next is when we don't serve anybody and they decide to, make a fuss or sue the bar or sue the bartender. I've heard of that before, because they were overserved, not served, whatever. Bartenders are going to end up having to get insurance so that we don't get completely cleaned out of everything we own in one failed sweep, just because of stupid shit like that. Failed sweep? I think I used the wrong word there. Hopefully you guys know what I mean. One time a guy came into my bar and he was, I walked up to him and he says, I need a Bud Light. And I said, can I see your ID? And he says, can I see yours? And I said, no. And he goes, then you can't see my ID. And I said, well, I'm not the one ordering liquor. So either show me your ID or you can leave. And he huffed and puffed, put out his chest a little bit. And I just stood there because it would have been a pretty far grab for him to get me from behind the bar. That's one of the things I loved about working behind the bar, is that if somebody wanted to kick my ass, it would take them a while to get over where I had time to run into the walk-in freezer and hide behind the kegs. But these people, they think they know everything. And they get annoyed by what they think is right, what they think is wrong. And that has to do with everything that's going on in this world nowadays. Even simple things like wearing a fucking mask. You want to get into a store that requires you to wear a mask? Wear a fucking mask. Don't sit there and bitch about it. And if you have health problems that go along with wearing a mask, maybe you should go to the doctor instead of going into Walmart. But it's something as simple as showing your damn ID. I mean, the guy at the FedEx store today was riding dirty, basically, because he didn't have his ID on him, just a simple driver's license, and he was out driving around. And, with the way the world is nowadays, he'd probably sit back and say that he was pulled over and given a ticket just because of his ethnicity. And, or it's unfair that the cop did whatever because he didn't have an ID, or, it's a law that you have your ID on you while you drive. But it just makes life a lot easier if you carry your ID with you wherever you go, because you never know when you might need it. Like if you're anything from trying to order a glass of wine at the bar or a corpse in the middle of the forest. It makes it way easier to identify your body and alert your family that something happened. Wow, that got dark for a Christmas episode. Well, this isn't the official Christmas episode. It just happens to be during Christmas time. So if you're listening to this a little bit later on, catching up on episodes, or a brand new listener, this was recorded right before Christmas, and I actually did say that. Carry your ID so they can identify your corpse. But nonetheless, people, I'm sure a lot of you have some great ID stories. People trying to trick you, people trying to tell you they don't have it, put their thumb over their friend's picture on the ID so that you don't notice it's not them. One girl had an altered ID, and I confiscated it from her. And she tried to get it back by saying, I really need that because I'm going on an airplane tomorrow. And I basically told her, you think giving me a bad ID is bad? Try giving it to somebody who's part of the government and try to get on a plane. And she just went, okay. So, I would love to hear your bad ID stories. I want to know everything. So if you have a good ID story that I can talk about on the show, or if I like it, and I may even ask you to be on the show, because I want to interview a lot more people this upcoming year. Email me, dude@heybartenderpodcast.com, and I'll read your story over the air, or maybe we can even talk about it over Zoom or something like that. It'd be a lot of fun, trust me. But like I said, this is the quick shot episode, and like I said, I had nothing prepared for tonight other than watching that schmuck at the FedEx store, put down those people because he couldn't mail his tennis shoes because he didn't have an ID. I didn't have anything planned. Sorry about that, but it became one of those things where it's like, after it happened, all of a sudden I'm like, I got to get back to my recording studio. I got to talk about this. This is hilarious. And, so anyway, appreciate you all for listening. I hope you all have a very Merry Christmas, or Happy Hanukkah, or Festivus, or have a holiday, because most of us get the day off. I know there are bartenders out there that are going to be working on Christmas Day. Be a friend to those customers and make that money. But a lot of us aren't working right now because of COVID, or our restaurants shut down. Out here in West Texas, where I live, a lot of the a lot of the restaurants that were privately owned, non-corporate, have shut down completely. They've lost their business, and I feel really sorry for them. Their employees, but things will get better. You've heard it from your bartender right here. The dude has spoken. Let's just say that. And, I hope you all have a great Christmas, and I'll tune in on Saturday where my guest will be Armin Basha. He is a fast food worker from Croatia, and he asked to be on the podcast to promote his new album that's out right now. So tune in on Saturday or the next episode, depending on when you listen to this, and come and check it out. So until next time, ladies and gentlemen, Merry Christmas and lots of love, lots of sex, lots of happiness, and don't take any shit from anyone. Good night.
What do you mean it's last call? I just got